I love success stories, especially when I'm involved and they happen so fast. 6 months ago, this guy that I'm gonna be talking about was driving a truck and he was dying to come off that wheel. Today, he's running his own dispatch company, running 8 owner-operators, and this is only the beginning. He's charging between 5 to 6%, but I wanna walk you through the timelines of how it happened, what he did, how he did, our consultations, when he nailed his first client, how much he was charging them, and what he's currently making right now dispatching those 8 owner operators. So let's get into it. So back in January of 2026, someone enrolled in my dispatch course. So I usually get notifications on my phone. I get about 3 or 4 of them a day. It's a Shopify notification letting me know that somebody has purchased the dispatch course. I always open up my analytics and see who bought it. So right away, he books that consultation with me. And then this is the time where I pick his brain when I talk to him. What is it that he wants? Clear goal number 1 is he wants to come off that wheel. He's come to a point in his life where he's either going to have to jump and become an owner operator, or he really wants to come off that wheel and do something else. He's seen some of my videos, he's seen some of the pay potential, and he wanted me to walk him through how we were going to do it. You know, he has a family, 2 younger kids. He's hardworking, he's very persistent. We talked about how to onboard owner operators. We talked about the agreements that he actually needs in order to dispatch them. We talked about how to present himself online, his social media presence, his Google My Business listing. We talked about having a Facebook page. We talked about building a landing page, which is just a one-pager where potential customers can go and see your services. We had talked about him completing the dispatch course. So now he did complete the course and learned how dispatch actually works. From finding freight and negotiating freight rates. I mean, there's 10 modules there. Each module is about an hour. You do it at your own pace, at your own time. But what I liked about this guy is the second he completed that course, right away he books another 30-minute consultation with me, a one-on-one consultation with me. That call was not just about trucking, it was about the plan moving forward. When I understand I have somebody who's serious and wants to do this for a living, then we kind of open up and I guide him through the business side of things. So yes, there's becoming a truck dispatcher, but you have to kind of understand what you're doing on the business side. So here starts the timeline. February 15th, he books another 30-minute consultation with me. There's about 10 days between consultation number 1 versus consultation number 2. Now, February 15th, he books a 30-minute consultation with me and he's showing me his landing page. He's showing me his Google My Business listing. He's showing me the Facebook page that he created. And now he needed my help getting his first customer. Now I know this guy is serious. This guy means business. We talked about the accounting side. We talked about payments. We talked about how are we going to onboard your first customers and making him sound a little bit more professional when he's talking to people over the phone. I remember specifically that I talked to him, let's start with the easy stuff. Let's start with the owner operators working in the van division. That is by far the easiest thing to penetrate. And for me to teach you that, it's much easier, especially when you have been a driver before. You know what you're doing, you know the roads, you know the regulations, you know the hours of service. I could take that and I can build on it. So I enrolled him into receiving my leads. So I receive a ton of leads of owner operators that really want qualified dispatchers and really want a good dispatch service. And they all have one thing in common. They all want somebody locally in the US. They want somebody in the US. They're okay with working with people with Canada, but absolutely they don't want to work with any foreigners. They want somebody locally. And this is where the Americans have a competitive advantage. This is where you can shine. Just with a simple phone call with somebody talking to you, you would probably win the business for sure. So I gave him 10 leads and he was able to close his first customer on February 26th. Now he called me and he was so excited. He got the owner operator to sign the agreement. He agreed on 3%. Okay, he took a rate cut because he knew it was the first owner operator. And now he says to me, Ronen, what do I do? I said, don't worry about it. I'll walk you through the entire thing. I think that was a Thursday. On Friday, I got on the load board with him. So he had the username and password of the owner operator that has his own authorities. And that's what I always tell people. If you are going to provide a dispatch service, use the company's usernames and passwords for the load boards. Okay. The last thing you don't want to book anything on your name. You want to book it on their name and make a commission, which is that 3%. So I explained to him, how you're gonna be looking for loads. Yes, he got the training through the dispatch course, but this is real. This is actually happening. You have a truck in Minnesota. You actually have a truck in North Carolina. What do you do? So you talk to the owner operator, you ask him, where do you prefer to go? Ask the owner operator when he needs to be home. You asked him, how long of a trip do you want? The national average freight rates are $2.90 per mile. And now you get hunting on these load boards. So with a quick 30-minute session, I was able to show him how to book the loads, how to negotiate. I looked over the carrier package of the broker that he hired. Everything seemed legit. Everything was okay. Now we talked about the billing and we talked about how he was going to get paid. But again, the most important thing is let's make this owner operator happy. Let's get him the loads that he wants so he can continue to use his service. On March 5th, okay, very, very close, these sessions came in. He booked another 30-minute session with me. This is where we went over the billing, okay? How is he going to get paid his 3%? We did set up a credit card link, but I think in the US it's very easy. You have email transfers, whether you're using whatever company you're using for email transfers. It's very simple to get, a 3% commission on a $3,000 load, that $90 commission. I had to teach him how to go into QuickBooks. Yes, in this particular case, this guy is extremely technologically savvy, so I just had to show him once how to create an invoice. And, it was an unbelievable success story. Now, the beautiful thing about our industry is that when you do a good job, the word starts spreading like wildfire. So this owner operator was able to bring in another owner operator who was extremely happy with the service. He received another package of 10 leads from me. He was able to close 2 out of the 10 that I gave him. Now, the difference between onboarding your second or third or your fourth owner operator, all of a sudden your confidence starts to build. You know what you're talking about. You know the rate per mile, you know the areas that people like to go in, how your first owner operator is running. When people hear that you already have 1 or 2 owner operators, they're more confident. They ask you, hey, you know what, do you mind giving me the reference of your owner operator? I'd love to talk to him and see how he's doing. You can actually show, the loads that you booked, how much you booked it for. So it's much easier to onboard your second, third, or fourth owner operator when you already have the first one. Okay, so here we are now. Today is July, end of July. We're talking about March, April, May, June, July. We're talking about 4 months. He has now 8 owner operators, and he sent me a thank you email, which I love to see. He thanked me for helping him get started, for providing the agreements, which is the dispatch service agreement, for teaching him how to dispatch, and for giving him the confidence in order to launch his business. Guys, if he can do it, I'm telling you, there's a lot of you guys out there that can do it also. Reading messages like this or emails like this, it really gives me joy. And it gives me the purpose, that to continue doing what it is that I'm doing, which is teaching and educating the audience out there. The opportunities are there, and there are options for everyone. Whether you want to come off that wheel and become a dispatcher, whether it's a freight broker, even recruiter, safety and compliance, there's so many options out there for you guys. You just need to be guided in the right direction. But now we're going to get into the interesting part. Now we're going to get into the money, okay? So what can a dispatcher with 8 owner operators do? So the first 3 customers that he had, he was still billing at 3% of the earnings. Now, an owner operator does maybe about 8,000 miles in the US. 8,000 miles does seem a little bit low, but I just took the conservative numbers over here. 8,000 miles at $3 a mile is about $24,000, and a 3% commission on that, that's $720 per owner operator. Multiply that by 3, he's making $2,160 on those 3 owner operators. Now, he did bring in 2 more owner operators at 4%. They're also making $24,000. That's $960 per owner operator. Multiply that by 2, that's $1,920. Now he has 2 additional owner operators that he onboarded at 5% commission. So that's $24,000. Multiply that by 5% commission, which is equal to $1,200. Multiply that by 2, that's $2,400. Now he has 1 owner operator that he recently onboarded, and he's onboarded him at 6% commission. 6% at $24,000 gross is $1,440. Now I am almost certain that he's not gonna stop there. So total of 8 owner-operators, I truly believe that at some point or another, he's gonna start increasing his prices on his first 3 owner-operators and the 2 owner-operators. Anybody additional that he's gonna be bringing in, he's gonna be bringing at 6%. But the current model that he has right now, let's do a grand total of his approximate earnings every single month on these 8 owner-operators. You have $2,160, plus you have $1,920, plus $2,400, plus $1,440, which gives us a grand total of $7,920. Now, since he contacted me in January, so when he came off that wheel, February, March, April, I mean, they weren't good months for him. He had to create the landing pages. He had to do the marketing stuff. He had to put up his Facebook page. He needed to understand dispatching. He had to spend money before he's now making money. But was it worth it? I truly believe that it was worth it. And if you talk to this driver, well, this ex-driver who's now a dispatcher, I'm pretty sure that if I did this video on him a year from today, I see him having an office of 2 or 3 dispatchers, dispatching at least 20, 25 owner-operators, and I see him being successful. So the competitive advantage that he has, honestly, is the fact that he's in the US and Americans want to work with Americans. You know, I'm happy I got to share this story with you guys. I'd love to hear some of your feedback. I'd love to hear some of your opinions. This is something that you do want to set up. You know, it is possible. Now, I've created a ton of videos on this topic, and there's so much free resources here in my channel. Now, guys, if you want more stories like this, let me know. Now, I also have a very, very successful freight broker here at ET Transport. I'd love to show you guys his pay. I just want to see how well this video is going to do. I'd love to show you his first month, his second month, and third month of how he made it as a freight broker. If you're enjoying this content, give it a thumbs up, put a comment down below. I'm Ronen, and I'll catch you in my next video.